so extreme in any area of your life as you can, because that is actually the only way that you find your version of your North Star or homeostasis. So go and try, like, you know, you and I joke about all the, I'm like, what diet are you on now? Like, what are you following? Like, try all the things and see where your 100 is and see where your 0 is. And then say, you know what? I need to figure out, I feel best actually, maybe some people maybe thrive more at a 90% kind of vibe and they really like that. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe people need to be a little bit more like, so unless you can figure out what those extremities are, that is how you recalibrate to be like, this is my version of being balanced. And I only know that through trial and error of being so extreme. You know, like I used to do bodybuilding shows back in the day, like very, you know, and that was like so extreme where I literally would like watch people eat when they were going out to eat because I was competing and whatever. And I was like, okay, you know what? That was not worth it for me to be on stage for 15 seconds. Right. But like, had I not done that, I wouldn't have known. Same thing with like working out or, you know, trying all the other diets. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing that. But I think, again, like having some humility in the process of like not hating other people because at some point you were a novice as well. And like, you know, think about when you and I both were into paleo before paleo was cool. Like, you were everyone was drinking that Kool-Aid and like
Yeah.
I was paleo shaming people. I'm like, you ate a legume, you're a terrible person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you had peanut
Yeah.
butter. Oh my God, you're going to hell. Like get out of my space. You know, and like it's laughable now because you're like, oh my God, we have a I think the world has seen that we have like way bigger fish to fry. And like in the big picture of things, like if that's what you're gonna get hung up on, like and again, like I think you and I have even talked about this, like stressing about the one thing that you think is actually stressing you out is worse than the actual thing that you
Mhm.
think is going to be so problematic. So it's just
Yeah.
like, God, just do less. Just like that scene from, you know, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And he's like, just do less, pop up, pop
Yes.
down, just lay on the ground, you know, starfish on the ground.
We love a starfish.
I love,
Well,
I'm like starfish with a castor oil pack. Do it now.
okay, that is it. That is the life hack. But I do want to like there's that balance, right? And I think like I want to also be an advocate for this other side too of like doing less and stop stressing out about it. But at the same time, I of all people can very much recognize like my body is very sensitive and is affected by what I consume. And so there are things where I'm like, yeah, this is very much blocking me, you know? And so I think there's also that other side of like, um, there's also the guilt that can come up around people who are still caring about what they're eating, right? Or like
No,
I mean,
absolutely.
it comes up for me for sure with intuitive stuff. Like sometimes I go out with my friends and I am very picky about what I'm eating because I'm like I'm channeling all day tomorrow, or like I'm writing my book this weekend, so I'm not going to eat XYZ. I eat differently when I'm like doing deep channeling work than I do when I'm just like when I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's
And
my point is that you
yeah,
only know that through trial and error.
yeah.
And that's why I'm like, dude, try on all the outfits till
Hmm.
you figure out what works best for you for certain things. Like to
Yeah.
that analogy, like I'm going out with my girlfriends tonight. I'm not going to wear like my whatever, like raggedy white trash gray sweatshirt that I would wear if I'm like having my friend come over and watch TV. So it's like the same thing. Like, yeah, try
Mhm.
all the things to be like, and that goes back to the original conversation of like, what kind of person am I when I'm channeling a book, when I'm if I have a whatever exam coming up or what, you know, like when I was prepping for a dissertation, like I knew there were very you know, your non-negotiables, your deal breakers and your red flags. It's like
Mhm.
any relationship in life, you have to figure all of those things out and to thy own self be true with that. You know, like nobody's going to ever give you those answers. You generally only learn that through experiential learning and through trial and error.
Yeah. Well, and I also think like I had to go through a lot to be able to eat intuitively. Like
Mm-hmm.
now I can tell what I need, but there was a point where, I felt like frustrated with certain practitioners because I felt like they were like, just eat intuitively. I'm like, I literally can't. Like I'm so fucking disconnected from myself. Like I need some type of template to reset me so that I can start to learn how to be intuitive with what I'm eating and listen to my body. Because I think about like how I can tell what I need now based on how I'm feeling. And like 2 years ago, there was no fucking way. I was
Yeah.
just so disconnected,
Yeah.
And so I
But
think
that's
that's
also,
kind of
I
something,
think,
yeah.
no, that's like a good point too, because I think that is important for people to learn if they are working with somebody or maybe just working on their own kind of journey. Like you can't always go from like novice to expert. Like there has to be steps. You have to put in the reps and the practice. And so like if you are working with somebody who says something like that to you, like yeah, maybe if you're a more advanced client and you've worked with other people, like you could maybe jump into like level 7, but you can't always, you know. And I think that that's important too, to be like, honestly, I'm not there yet, so like
Mhm.
this isn't a fit for me, and I need to figure out how to like take a couple steps backwards. There's nothing wrong with taking steps backwards too, about being like, well, I thought I knew all this and like that was working and now that's not, so like how do I pivot from here?